Go into your working folder and open up saving.ai. We're going to do something that some might think is a little bit late out of the gate. We're going to talk about saving, just plain old run-of-the-mill saving an Adobe Illustrator document, something that if you work in Illustrator you do every day, saving a document. There are questions to be answered when you save a document. If you go up to the word File on the pull-down menu, you've got Save. Now this document has already been saved one time. So if we do save, it'll just save it because we've already answered the questions. But to get back to the questions as if it's new, do a Save As. Now, let me give that a different name so it doesn't ask me to replace it. And let's look at our formats right here. Now, we're going to Adobe Illustrator AI, but you have EPS. I think of EPS as a more compatible AI. For example, some applications won't open an AI, but they would open an EPS. A lot of presses, four-color presses, like EPS over AI. EPS handles vector and raster very similar to AI. So if you've got that problem, trying to open an image or send it somewhere, you might want to consider EPS. You've got template, if you want to use a document over and over again as a template. PDF documents, fun to work with, very easy. All you got to do is click the button. SVGs, scalable vector graphics, are used a lot. They're resolution independent. And they're used a lot even in web design. So you got a lot of different options here. Let's go AI and click Save. Now the options start with version. CC, check this out, all the way down to Illustrator 3. Now everything under CC is legacy. One of the reasons it's legacy is because it's not cloud compatible. But the other reason is you get down to about here somewhere. And Illustrator began handling text differently. So you could have a problem with text if you've got to go down that far. If you see these options here, notice they're grayed out. They don't come up until you get down to about, Illustrator 8. We're not going to worry about those. Let's go back to CC. Your fonts, you can subset your fonts if the percentage of characters is used as less than, and you can choose the percentage. You can create a PDF compatible. Now that's more than just, I can open it as a PDF. Some programs will not open Illustrator documents unless that option is selected. So it is a default. I would recommend you're probably going to leave that one on. Now, we don't have any linked files, but if we did, it would ask if you want to include them. Do you want to embed the color profile? I usually do. And that's the profile that will allow it to really look good someplace else, the ICC profile. Compression can't be used by earlier versions of Illustrator, but I would recommend you put it on because it does make the file smaller. We don't have any artboards, but check it out. We could save each artboard to a separate file. That's pretty cool. This stuff, only if you're really going back in time. You've got two warnings here. One is the document raster effect resolution is 72 or less, and only fonts with appropriate permission bits will be embedded. This one's always on. In other words, some fonts will not allow you to save them with the Illustrator document. They're protected. I'll only worry about that if I get that problem. But what about that 72? Let's get out here for a second and say, well, you know what? I have printed these things out before and done things with them. It just doesn't look as good as I thought it was going to look. It looks almost pixelated. Not a lot, but it just doesn't look that good. Well, if you remember a couple of chapters ago, if you go to the word Effect on the pull-down menu, you have Document Raster Effect Settings, and it's at 72. Hey, I'm taking this thing out to a press. I want that thing up high, like about 300. Click OK. Now when you go back to File and do a save, and let me go ahead and give that a name again, all the work. You can see we only have one warning now because we're up to 300. If you save it at 72, does that mean you can't come back and resave it again at 300? No, you can't. So Illustrator allows for that. It's a very flexible program. But the options that you choose under File Save, as simple as a file save, are very dependent on the intent of where you're going with this. Always remember intent.